By George. George the Steamroller has a reputation for having a bad attitude. One day, he was waiting for Percy to take him to a new workplace. As he was waiting, he was being rude to Skarloey and Rheneas, who were sitting on the side tracks. "You two are nothing but worn-out wheels on worn-out rails. You need rocks to crush for your roads," said Skarloey, "and we're helping you." "I don't care. I can crush little steam engines in the scrapyard," retorted George. At that instant, Percy arrives to take him away. As George was being carried away, he was still rebelling. "Railways are no good. Turn them into roads." The little engines were happy to see him leave. George grumbled all the way to the old branch line. He was going to turn it into a road. When they finally arrived, George was rude again. "Bumpy ride on rotten rails. I'm glad it's over." "So am I," peeped Percy. "Ha!" retorted George. Percy was still fuming when Thomas rolled in. "Hello, Percy," he said. "What's up?" "It's George," said Percy. "He always makes me feel down." "Just do what I do," said Thomas. "What's that?" "Just ignore him." And he puffed off, carrying Rusty the little diesel with him. By this time, George was finally enjoying himself. "Rip it up, rails!" he yelled. "What a life!" "What do you think of this, Thomas?" But Thomas didn't listen. "You're just a lazy blue puffball!" yelled George. But Thomas still paid no attention as he puffed off into the distance. "I'll show him who's boss!" At last the work was completed, and they reached the old switch. "What shall we do here?" asked the workman. "Tear it up! Tarmac it!" said George. And so they did, but not properly, and George knew it. Later that day, 16 was hauling a short passenger train back home. But the signalman forgot to warn him about George's mistake. 16 noticed that all the signals for his train were green. "That's nice," he said to his driver. "We don't have to stop." But it was too late. "Horrors!" cried 16 as he ran off the tracks. 16 lay on his side, looking surprised and leaking steam in all directions. 16 was later hauled back onto the tracks and rolled slowly home. Duck was in the yards, noticing that George was blocking his way as he was shunning several freight cars. "Get out of the way," said Duck. "Gordon is due with his express at any second." "He can wait," said George. But sure enough, Duck's earlier warning proved correct. Gordon was on his way with the express. Gordon didn't see the freight car until it was too late. The freight car flew through the air and landed with a crash. Gordon thought he would be punished for his severe actions. "I'm sorry for what I did, sir," he said to Sir Topham Hatt. "Don't worry, Gordon," said Sir Topham Hatt. "It wasn't your fault. It was George's fault, and I'll see to it that he gets a severe punishment." George's punishment is to be used as a boiler for a stationary paper mill. As he was going to the paper mill, Thomas and Percy saw him there. "Well, Thomas," said Percy, "I think George has learned his lesson." "What's that?" said Thomas. "Never make fun of the railways, and I don't think George will. Do you?"